Hi there, a very good morning and good afternoon to all of you, depending on wherever you're watching me. This is Simply Stocks with this video. This time around, I'm going to talk about comparison between Acrysel and Somani, and this is the first comparison among many that is going to come up hopefully on every Saturday. I'll try to bring that up if things are all fine. So, the first of the comparisons that I'm coming up with is Acrysel and Somani, which is both into home improvement, both particularly into kitchen appliances, etc. So let's see how these two businesses stack up and which one do I prefer. So let's get started. First of all, a disclaimer that this is not a stock recommendation, and people taking any position to any share that I talk about should do that with their own due diligence and research, and I'm not in favor or against any company that I talk about. Before I talk about these comparisons, here's a small request that kindly support me on Patreon, and once you do that, it will help me grow the channel, help you also ask me questions in greater detail and eke out answers from me. Once you get the $10 membership, you'll have access to my portfolio, my watch list, and a number of podcasts that I put up from time to time on short-term, long-term calls on the markets. And if you pay $100 upfront, you get 1 year access by paying for 10 months. So you can do that as well. For detailed market or company analysis or number of stocks you're having, you can directly email me and we can work things out with a fee. So Acrysel and Somani, both into kitchen appliances, both into home improvement products, as I have mentioned. So how is the industry per se? So post-pandemic has been surging as need arises and is providing to be a lucrative sector to invest into. And remember, work from home means better furniture, better equipments. So all these things coming together. So what has happened is, so you need to look at what these two companies do basically. So Somani is also into furniture. Somani is also into home decor, and they are into Somani home appliances. I'm talking about Somani home innovation. So once you look at when people are looking at having more better furniture, as they would have to work from home, put on their cameras, etc. So they need more products for home. So companies like Dixon Technologies, companies which are into electronics, companies which are into home products have been doing well, and then you need to look at the situation where women who are working in offices need to work at home. They need to go for the kitchen work as well, and kitchen appliances ended up doing much better. So TTK Prestige was the first of the companies that came out with very good numbers from FY 1920 onwards, and things followed with other companies. So that's why post pandemic, these companies have actually done reasonably well, apart from the first quarter of 2020, when the pandemic hit for the first time. Things started to really look good, and that is where these companies have started to move big time. So modular kitchens, a necessity as usage has increased. People have looked at how their kitchen should be shaped up for their convenience, because as more people are working at home, as more men and women are working at home, they are at home, there's more usage of kitchen and other parts of the home. In that regard, you would require a complete renovation, and that is being going on all across the board, whether it is for just one or two you can say spaces at home, or the complete renovation of the home altogether. So that's why these companies have been doing well, and particularly producing very good numbers. So it is set to grow even further once things completely open. So I believe that as things open up, once this pandemic ends in say 12 to 18 months altogether, so from 2023 onwards, these companies will set to do even better, because their footfalls to their you can say stores, to their shops, would increase even further. And as people like the products of these companies, whether it is Somani Home, whether it is Acrysel or other companies in this field, people will move towards more branded products. They would have more knowledge about branded products, being at home and using their products. Remember that Somani Home particularly works more on an online business, online to customer business. And in that sense, once the affinity increases between the customers and the company, it will continue on a face to face basis as well going forward. That's my assessment. So this thing will only increase further once everything opens up and industry opens up completely. And second and third tier cities are the big ones where these companies would focus in. And particularly you look at semi urban areas, you look at urban areas which are smaller cities across North India, across the southern India. These companies will have a foothold going forward. So if you look 4, 5, 6 years down the line, this is where the business is going to really pick up. If you look at 1 or 2 years down the line, then it will be the Bombays and Delhis, or Mumbais and Delhis and Kolkatas of the world that are going to proliferate once things open up. So all things set together, the industry per se is going to grow at a very faster pace compared to the last decade that it has done. Now coming to the comparison straight away. So this is Somani Home versus Acresil. The market cap of Somani Home is around 2500 crores versus Acresil's 1600 crores. So in that regard, Acresil has still a long way to go, but market cap is not the only criteria when you're looking at a stock. The margins are there, so margins are better in Acresil, and that's why Acresil has run up so much from around 4 500 crores market cap to 1600 crore market cap, because the margins, operating profit margins and ROE is much better in Acresil compared to Somani Home. And larger players, institutions, so 0.5% FII, 6.5% DII holding is in Acresil compared to look at Somani. So this is virtually same, because in Somani Home as well, it is around 7% DII holding versus 2.4% FII holding. But one thing you need to notice here is that in Somani Home Innovation, since there was a demerger from Somani, you can say the Somani group, the FII and DII holding has reduced, and this is where the questions come in from a lot of Patreon members, from a lot of you can say YouTube members, that since the FII and DII and institutional holding has reduced, then why would we like to invest into it, or why I am so a disclaimer that I am invested into Somani Home, that I am invested into it. But you need to understand that the deviation has come through only because of the demerger that has taken place, in which some of the investors has taken out their money, and on per se basis, on a total shareholding basis, it has reduced. It's not that it has completely gone out of the way for FIIs and DII not to invest into Somani Home Innovation. So on a business wise, Acresil is doing much better and producing much better numbers. But what has happened is that you look at ROC is the same, but if you look at the third from the last point, the stock is up 4.8x in the last 1 year in case of Somani Home, whereas the stock is up 7 to 8 times in Acresil. So Somani Home Innovation with reasonable margins are is valued much better than, you can say, Acresil is a much bigger company than Acresil, and that's why I believe that there is more traction to go here. But Acresil per se is a better business, is a better company, but whether the margins would sustain, that is the question. It may sustain. If it sustains, Acresil will keep on growing even further as a stock, better than Somani Home. So that's the call you need to take as to where you need to go with the stock. The promoter has 52% holding in Somani Home, whereas 44% in Acresil. Not much of a difference there. Now, where the difference lies is that Acresil has come out with brilliant numbers so far. Now, I believe Somani Home Innovation is going to come out with 17 18 rupees EPS in FY22. So as I mentioned, Somani Home may come out with northwards of 20 rupees EPS for FY23, probably close to around 22 or 23 rupees for FY23. And so in a year and a half times, if you take that PE of around 40-45 times, we are looking at closer to 1,000 rupees on Somani Home in 18 months time, whereas Acrysel has already been producing top class numbers, so it may just grow by 20-30%. So then the valuations might even out. So on a valuation wise, my opinion is that Somani Home is better placed, but business wise I still believe Acrysel is doing well. So that is the conundrum as to what needs to be done, whether to invest or not into one of these companies. So if we continue with the comparison, then as I said, ROC is there, so stock is right up there. The PE is around 48 and 41, and you look at the 52-week highs, 399 in terms of Somani Home Innovation, where it is lying. So it has consolidated, it didn't cross that 400 rupees. So if you take 7 rupees EPS, the current EPS, why I put up this 52-week high is that if you take that 7 rupees EPS, then it is trading at what, 7 and a half rupees EPS for Somani Home. It is trading at 48-49 times, and 7.5 rupees EPS will not be there for Somani Home. As I said, it should be closer to 17 rupees by the end of the year. We have to look at numbers for the July and September quarter, how they pan out. If they really pan out the way I'm looking at, then you will see the surge in the stock. So a doubler from here in a year's time could be possible in Somani Home, but again, take your own call. A disclaimer: I'm invested in the stock, so again, whatever decision you take for investment is up to you. But Acrysel is doing much better on a business basis, so it may just continue to surge from these levels as well and have a market cap of 3,000 crores, 2.5 3,000 crores going forward as well. So both the companies are pretty good in that respect. So in a nutshell, SHIL had a washout June 2020. So this June quarter should be quite big. Let's see how the numbers pan out. I think 3.5 rupees negative EPS were there, 3.3 rupees. I think positive 3.3 rupees could be the EPS for the June quarter. Valuations are stretched in case of Acrysel, as I said, comparatively. I'm not saying that it is extremely expensive, but comparatively it is stretched. And stock of SHIL has not moved as much. So what has happened is, as I mentioned, 8 times the move in Acrysel, whereas 4.5 times in case of SHIL. Acrysel has backing of HNIs, and that is the positive thing, that high net worth individuals, normal individuals even, which are big into the stock market, are invested into the stock, which invest into say small cap companies, which is not there with SHIL. And that is where I believe that Acrysel may continue to surge even with higher valuation, and SHIL may produce, as I said, 17 to 20 rupees EPS in FY22 versus 7 rupees right now. So if that happens, then we will see a surge in the stock. If that doesn't happen, yes, the stock may remain where it is. So scope of market cap appreciation more in Acrysel, scope of valuations being on the side is more in SHIL, and business front, both are very good companies. So my call is, both are top class firms. As I mentioned, SHIL is more attractive at these levels, but Acrysel gaining more market share. So you need to take that into account as well, and doing better on the ground. So if you have Acrysel from lower levels, then hold and only take small position at these levels in any of the stock. I think both are expensive at per se at this moment, until and unless the results don't come out. So once 1 or 2 quarters of very good results in either of the companies come out, then only you can take a call. But at this moment, 40-50 times in both the companies is expensive. So have less than 10% exposure into these stocks, and at this point of time, both are expensive on the valuations front. So this was my video on a comparison between Acrasel and SHIL. Please do like and subscribe my channel, hit the bell icon so you can get my videos straight away when I post it, and kindly support me on Patreon. Thanks a lot for watching.